I'm Adam Zawadzkis, and I'm training for my first 100-mile race in July 2023. This is my weekly series covering each run from week 51 to week 77 of my Ultramarathon training plan, spanning almost a year and a half. This is how week 52 went. A 13-mile easy run is what the schedule called for on Monday. I woke up with a sense of adventure on this morning, so I decided to do an out and back and try some new roads. I ended up hitting some pretty steep hills out of nowhere, so I was slowed to pretty much a shuffle for a couple miles on the way out. However, I found this bridge over a highway that connected two neighborhoods together, so that was pretty neat. The plan was to turn around at a community park off of a main road, but with all of the morning traffic, I figured I'd come back earlier in the morning in a couple weeks so I wouldn't have to play Frogger. The way back was pretty quick as I bombed down the hills I ascended earlier, and I completed the run feeling pretty good and rested from the weekend prior. Then came Tuesday, which is normally my hard workout day, either on the track or on hilly trails. Today was a track workout. On deck was a 2-mile warm-up, followed by 2 1,200-meter repeats, and then 7 800-meter repeats at about a 5:40 pace with a minute of rest between each rep, garnished with a 2-mile cooldown. I didn't have a specific time in mind for the 1200s as I've never done repeats of them before, but the 800s I always aim to get about 255 or under for each. The intentionality behind this workout was to work my heart rate up to almost the red zone for a good amount of time before resting and letting my body clear out lactic acid buildup over and over again. Over time, doing these workouts will teach your body how to clear this lactic acid out more efficiently and basically increase your VO2 max. Track conditions were pretty rough today with ice and snow, and it was freezing with the wind chill, but I still managed to get in a solid workout. There was nothing fun about getting up at 3 a.m. and banging this one out, but this is the greatest example of consistency above all else that I could put on display. Switching gears on Wednesday, this is when I normally do my short recovery runs at a low heart rate. I didn't take my camera on this one as I really wanted to focus on how I felt today after yesterday's workout. With it being about 13 degrees during this run, my heart rate barely moved at all, and I ended up with a sub-8 minute mile average for this run, which was very surprising. And that's with dodging ice sheets and trudging up snowy inclines. At this point, I see some very serious progress being made in my fitness since my last race in December. I ended this one in 48 minutes flat and felt overall very good and ready to get into my lifting routine for the day and my second running workout on Thursday. And here is Thursday, my usual tempo pace workout day. Today was a progression style workout where I start out at an easy pace for a mile and then get faster for the next 5 miles, ending off with an easy cool down mile. This morning was another cold one, so I started off with a jacket that I could easily unzip and toss on the driveway later. Mile 1 warm-up was a 7:28. Mile 2 was a 7:27 with a 7:30 to 8 goal time. Mile 3 was a 6:58 with a 7 to 7:30 goal time. Mile 4 was a 6:26 with a 6:30 to 7 goal time. Mile 5 was a 6:07 with a 6 to 6:30 goal time. Mile 6 was a 5:40 with a 5:30 to 6 goal time. And finally, Mile 7 cool down was a 7:32. I will say the thing about cold weather is your heart rate sits a lot lower than it normally would in higher temperatures, like I mentioned earlier, because it keeps your core body temperature in check, but it's a bit harder to breathe at faster paces because of the dryness. Overall, good workout, and it was so ordinary, there's not much else to mention, which is a good thing. Friday felt like a really good day to wind down and hit some easy trail running before Saturday's big run. I have this 3-mile loop I usually do in a park close to home with a good mix of paved road, technical rooty trails, groomed trail, and wooden bridges, and many other obstacles. So today I did about 2.5 loops of that. This is also my favorite place to run, not only because it's close by, but there's also a heated bathroom in the parking lot where I like to do my warm-up stretches, which is a game changer because the absolute worst part about running in these frigid temperatures in the morning is having to stand out in the cold warming up before heading out. This run, though, was nice, and the wind chill wasn't as bad as I was expecting. There were quite a few ponds of solid ice in the middle of the trails that I had to look out for, but that's the way she goes in the dead of winter. I also had to stop for a moment again to take in the morning solitude. And before I knew it, the run was done. 7 miles complete and feeling pretty good going into the Saturday long run. Finally came the big weekend long run I do every other Saturday. This one called for 22 miles. I returned to the park I ran in on Friday as the temperatures this morning were frigid, starting off at 6 degrees and ending at 12 degrees. Running this one in loops was a lot safer than an out and back in case of something going wrong, which proved to be a good idea as a lot did go wrong. I kept a baggie of gels in my car sitting on a hot water bottle to keep those thawed out, and that worked beautifully. However, even with a lot of salt in my water bottle, the lid got frozen solid after about an hour and a half, so I had to unscrew it to take sips. Then the lid accumulated so much ice that I couldn't screw the lid on tight, so it started to leak over the pouch I keep my phone in, and it froze the zipper, trapping my phone inside. I didn't film a lot on this run as any time spent with my hands open holding my phone made them get freezing cold again, but once the bottle froze, I couldn't even film if I wanted to. I luckily brought spare gloves with me on this run, so I swapped those out at about 2.5 hours as the sweat from my hands started to freeze on my first pair of gloves. As miserably cold as this run was, I just kept putting one foot in front of the other and made water stops in my car every 3.5 miles so I wouldn't get too dehydrated. And eventually got it done in about 3 hours and 20 minutes. This one was definitely a whetstone for the mind, and one of the reasons why I like the ultra running scene so much is that it's mostly physical and mental fitness, but it is also a lot of quick problem solving. Control the controllables, but ultimately how you react in the face of adversity determines how successful an ultramarathon will be. To conclude, this week was the coldest one yet, and to be honest, at this point in the year, running could be more of a chore than a joy. But it's just important to be focused on the current day, placing one brick at a time, knowing that in a few months it'll be getting warmer, and all this work will get me to where I want to be. It's also important to remind myself to be thankful that I have the privilege and the physical capability to even step outside every morning to run in the first place and pursue my goals. Winter has been giving me a run for my money, no pun intended, but has kept me grounded, so every season has its place. Lastly, thank you for watching me run around a frozen wasteland for another week. This week came out to be 64 miles total. We are 6 weeks out from my prerequisite 50-mile race on March 18th. I look forward to improving my content as time goes on, and I hope you guys learn something along the journey. Hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll catch up with you later.